Welcome to Free Cheese episode 378. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Marc Augustiniak.
What's up?
Matt Zellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, not a whole lot of news, not a whole lot of much of anything with the Thanksgiving break, but we did play some games. We've got some hot recipes for pizza brought to you by your favorite video games. A look at the future of card games. All of that and more upcoming on Al Roker's favorite video game podcast. How are you, Matt?
I'm great. I discovered something new today, or not today, earlier this week. I've become a man of DraftKings. I like to do the dollar betting for fantasy football, pick a few players. But I did not realize what they did to make money during the pandemic when all sports were shut down. They decided to go to Madden for sports betting. So now, just about daily, they do little simulation Madden games that you can watch on YouTube or Twitch. And you can bet money on them. I have not bet money on them, but I play the free ones, and I've made myself 30 cents in the past week watching AI controlled Madden teams play each other on Twitch.
Do we need to put hashtag ad in front of this thing? Is that
no? I just think where I want to go with this. I mean, we can add DraftKings.
But even your delivery felt like somebody's really clever copy to sell this as an ad on a podcast.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if I don't know. Coming up on the fly with that.
Hashtag adding.
No, but where I was going to get at is this is where, hashtag ad goes away. Well, maybe not for DraftKings. That's not their problem. Madden is a very fun game to watch when it is two AI-controlled teams just going at each other. And, man, you see the how bad the AI in this game can really be. And we
had fun with that on the old ones on PS2. We would just, set up whatever, let them rip, man.
Yeah, but, I feel like PS2 was excused, but when you say this is a simulation and then you have two AIs simulate games against one another, and then you really see just how good these Madden games are.
Yeah, there's always next year, right? That's the.
Yeah, no, I'm giving up all hope. We'll see though. We got the PS5 upgrade. That's this early December here. We'll see what if that fixes anything. It won't, but
more sweat. That's what you're gonna get. More sweat.
That's fine. More sweat.
Yeah.
It just splashes off faces.
Just constantly sweating. It's just like a guy eating cold cuts in a field. Mark, have you had cold cuts in a field this week?
I don't eat cold cuts.
What? Why?
Oh, no, what? I'm mixing that with coleslaw. I don't eat coleslaw.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. That's
correct.
Agreeable.
That it looks like vomit. I might have had a cold cut and not realize it. Isn't that just meat?
It's mainly Italian meats with cheeses and
things you would find
like an oil and vinegar, some pickle.
Well, maybe
you're almost at a charcuterie board.
I was about
just
to say
with bread.
it's.
Yep.
Hey, if I
had a charcuterie board this week,
congratulations,
but just ate cheese because that's what else would you do with that?
Well,
you just said it. It's the Italian meat.
Not eating bad meat.
It's not bad meat.
Look, if I made one,
it's the best fine meats.
I would have
meats.
I would have it look
Sorry,
like
Mark.
Me laying out with elbow hand behind my head kind of thing, and then I just slap a Slim Jim on there for the obvious part, and
the nose.
And that's my marcuterie board. So check that out sometime in this lifetime at some point.
4 minutes in, we got ourselves an episode title. Did you guys have a good week otherwise since we last met?
Yeah,
it was pretty fat.
With pH fat or
pH fat.
Nice.
Are you dropping a hint here? Am I supposed to talk about?
No,
okay.
I just want to say it because I didn't get to say it last week. I forgot.
All right. Well, we did drop a question at the end of last week's episode for the listeners to write in and respond, and write in and respond. They did. We got 5 ways to grow your own. We got all sorts of spam emails this week. I don't have the email on this computer, but it doesn't matter because it was literally all sell your blood, like that kind of stuff.
Could have ranked them.
Maybe I'll pull them up on break they might be in the trash. I don't even know. But we did ask last week which game, like Tetris, which is normally found in a competitive state, would you want to play together cooperatively, as we've seen with Tetris Effect Connected? Did you guys have an answer for this here question of the week?
I didn't have one last week, and after a whole week of thinking about it here and there, I still don't have a good answer. Mark, you can go first. I have a bad answer.
First thing that comes to mind, I mean, some games have done it, but it's really not a mainstay, I feel. Like most fighting games, I think, could benefit from this. Like Street Fighter tapped into it a little bit here and there with like your 2 versus 1 fights or whatnot. I mean, yeah, you have your like, I know there's like Tekken Tag and whatever, but like, again, that's tagging. I'm talking like simultaneous, whatever, like co-op. I mean, not so much against other people, but like if you're doing like a story mode or like a some type of campaign, I think that would be a pretty neat.
Fighting a thing in the center, or 2 of you on one side fighting a thing on the other side.
Yeah,
I could see that.
And like, but the cool thing that they could add to this to make it a little more unique is that there has to be like certain combinations that have to be pressed simultaneously in order to do like your cool like team hits or like unique combos and stuff like that. So there's a lot you could do with it.
I remember like we never really would, but it was always fun when you would play a sports game and you'd play on the same team. Because normally whenever you're playing a sports game locally, it's like, okay, we're going to go head to head, obviously. I'm pitching, you're hitting.
Has it ever been for like a football game, for example, or a baseball game? Is it like, has it ever been online where like each person is a position on the field? Or
I think they do that with hockey, right?
Hockey and FIFA both do that to very large extents. Madden, that new mode, the Yard, I think you could always do the co-op if you wanted to, but the Yard wants like more like 2v2, 3v3 kind of things. And the way that plays, like anyone could be a quarterback anytime. Baseball is hard though, because there's really only like one thing going on at a time. It's like one pitcher, one batter, unless you quickly toss a controller to a fielder or something like that. But that's a very boring road to the show.
Yeah.
That 9v9.
Maybe if it was like VR, if it was all like first person, where each person had their own like point of view of like whatever part they're in. You had the one person in left field just picking grass, and
I think even then it's a very boring.
Yeah.
I have, like I said, it's not a good answer. I wasn't thinking necessarily competitively, because I couldn't think of anything. Because when I think competitively, I think of MOBA, Counter-Strike, all that stuff, like all the esports things, and they're already kind of team-oriented just against each other. We're already kind of getting something like that from Rainbow Six. They're fleshing out that event mode to that quarantine thing. So like they kind of stole my answer there. But I don't know. I thought of something weird. Like, what if like SimCity had like state, for United States terms, like a state government, and then you had districts where your friends could control the districts, and then you could go wherever you want with it as far as governments and corruption and and running for re-election in your districts and things like that, and how to help each other. I think that would be a weird thing.
Have none of those games ever done online? Like,
I don't think like that, or like real time. I'm thinking like real time.
Yeah, like I want to see that like you decide to convert your whole city to water energy. Meanwhile, somebody else is doing solar and you're messing each other up because there's people who are from one town working in another and there's different ordinances. Like all that crap could be really fun. Civ kind of does that now, right? Like not to that level, but like you can play Civ against one another, grow your own civilization, and then see what happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Civ's One, Civ is very turn-based, so that's actually can be easily done. Like, you can just, like, log in, do your turn, log out kind of thing if you wanted to do it like that. But no, like, with it being turn-based, there's not, like, a lot going on at the same time kind of thing. Like, you can easily kind of pick and choose what you want to do very strategically. I feel like sometimes if you know, we talked about Frostpunk a while back, like, you know, you can pause that game, thank God, because that would be a stress nightmare, but, like, think of, like, you know, maybe not to the extent of Frostpunk, but like SimCity, if you just let the timer roll and you never pause the game, like, you have to make decisions. Yeah, that could get stressful.
Wonder if City Skylines did that. Cause that
SimCity might even done that to an extent. I don't really play those types of games much, so I was just thinking weirdly outside the box.
No, I like that. City Skylines looks like it has multiplayer through a mod, but not natively. I think that's a cool idea. Now I kind of want to explore that and see what options are out there, and we should play it if it's out there.
All right.
And I wonder, like, fighting game wise, I feel like that becomes a beat 'em up too, in a way, which I don't want. I want a more traditional fighting game.
No, you do want that.
Well, yeah, but I also want to see the rest of it fleshed out.
Yeah. Now, I think like the Street Fighter EX series, at least the third one, really took advantage of that because you can recruit people, and then it's either you and 2 AI or you and 2 other players, I think, and you just go in and just mess somebody up.
Is that in the 30th anniversary collection?
No. They don't really acknowledge the EX series, and that's how you got the game Fighting EX Layer. It took the characters that were original to those games and put them in that.
Got it. I bought the 30th anniversary collection this week against Marc's best wishes. I had it on my wish list for a long time and forgot about it, and then this week with the sales, it was $15, and I was like, I want it just for that occasional itch where I want to play Street Fighter on my Switch. So I flipped the coin said heads, and I said okay, and I did it.
Did you boot it up?
No, I was very excited to, and then it was going to take 45 minutes to download to the Switch.
Okay.
So
let me know next week how much you don't like it.
Huh?
Let me know next week how much you don't like it.
We'll find out. I was gonna play a little bit this morning over coffee, but I didn't. But I think had I not been playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity so late into the night, I would have been able to jump into it a little bit sooner. But I have played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I'd say I'm pretty far. You know, like knocking on the door of Chapter 6. I'm through. I think some pivotal story moments. Marc, how about you?
I beat it. Like I'm almost 100. I think by the time everyone's listening to this, I have 100% completed the game. At the time of recording, I'm at 94%.
Where do you see a percentage overall?
So there's one specific item that you can't get until after you complete the game.
Okay.
And you can see it from like what chapter, like early in the game, the first third of the game, it shows you what's available.
Right.
So I guess it's not really a spoiler. It's just a costume.
Ooh,
it's the
interesting
Link's costume from the first Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, okay.
You get that after everything. That's
cool.
Right. So I'm using that as a way to track my progress. So by judging that, it said I'm at 94.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
And
you're main story wise, you're close to being done. You have.
Oh wow.
I think you have like another chapter left.
Oh, I thought I was okay. That's cool. I mean, story wise, it feels like it's getting close to. I think that's been the interesting thing playing the story is like, I keep remembering the state of the world at the beginning of Breath of the Wild. The deeper I go into this, right? Like, it's hard to say stuff without spoiling either game if people haven't played them. But like, you know, the king in Breath of the Wild at the beginning is, in the state he's in. So I get to a point in Age of Calamity, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's got a right? Doesn't something have to? And then sure enough, right? And it's like that kind of stuff keeps catching me off guard.
And
where I'm like,
yeah, they find a way to somewhat seem predictable, and then they always throw in something you just don't expect at the last minute, where it's just like, oh, okay, we're doing that. Cool.
So far, I was
right.
really worried. Again, the keyword so far, because I know, and I'm sure listeners out there know or will know, so far, with the teeny tiny chibi guardian, there has not been any time travel nonsense. So, the story has not relied on that as a dumb crutch to, inject weirdo things. I don't know. As soon as they showed that thing jump out of a time portal at the beginning, and it was like, he can time travel, I was like, great, this whole story means nothing. This is all a wash.
Oh, no, yeah. It's they still stick to it being in the past. Canon. Yeah. They don't jump around like the Flash or something. It's not like...
Yeah, I figured they were going to do a thing where at the very end, it's like, hey, we can reset all of this, and it'll all be okay if we just jump in this portal and go back and stop Reverse Flash from stabbing Nora.
Oh,
but
yeah.
None of that thing, or so far at least. But yeah, I think you forget how dark and messed up Breath of the Wild is at the beginning, like the way that the Calamity has just infected everything. Or is it called Calamity? What's the goop?
I'm not sure. I think they just I believe. I'm not sure if it does have a name. You can go with that.
Malice. I think it is
Malice.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, Hestu called it mud, so
that. But yeah, you forget how much of that stuff was infected all throughout the world.
Yeah.
A couple things I love that I didn't think I'd love. Urbosa.
Oh, she's great.
When I first played Urbosa, didn't really care for the playstyle, and really any of the champions. I was kind of like, they're cool, whatever. But she has such style and attitude. When I started doing, the snap, man, the finger snap, you do this big combo, and then when you get, what is that? It's her, is that her weak point attack that she does the snap, but just the lightning raining down, jumping around someone 3 times, hitting them, and then turn, snap, and all the lightning just crashing down behind her. It's so cinematic and so cool.
Pretty much all of her moves, you can, as long as you have your meter filled up, your lightning meter filled up, you can end all of your combos with a strong hit, but if you keep tapping that strong hit or hold it in, it extends it for so long, it turns into something completely different.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. I've been bringing her into every mission now. Her and even Zelda, I didn't like as much as Impa, but both of them, I think Zelda and Impa were really difficult to control because they're so different and atypical to how Link plays.
Yeah.
But now I really like both of them.
Yeah, I mean, they've been my main group. Zelda and Impa have pretty much been throughout the whole thing, because I just felt like, all right, Zelda story-wise, I feel like at least one of them's going to play an importance, so maybe I should keep them high level or whatever. And Link was always overpowered for everything I do. And now he's maxed out.
So you feel... Oh, okay, so I've been going into some of these, and I feel way underpowered, because I'm not doing... Or I didn't feel like I was doing as many of the side missions early on. I hit a point where I was like, I need to spend 2 hours and just do side stuff. So I did just that and just kind of jumped around filling in the map bit by bit. I made sure I went through the list of things and got everything done from the level 1 to 10 and started chipping away at the 11 to 20s. You know what I mean? And do you feel like you needed to do that stuff, or do you feel like just playing the main chapters you were doing okay?
I mean, I guess if it wasn't... It kind of felt like a need only because my goal was to try to complete this game fully. So I was already committed to that. But the way they just have how everything pops up, they just have it so checklisty in a way where it doesn't feel annoying to exactly do. At least not at first, until you need a specific material, and so you might have to go back. But they do a pretty good job of you being able to advance and still get the stuff that you need. And sometimes you don't realize it when you think you're about to complete everything and you finish a little stage, and that opens up more stages. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
or you
Yes.
or you might power up a character by giving them certain ingredients, and then you unlock a new combo or something. That opens up a whole like thing, and
Yeah. It's been equally exciting and also overwhelming to see all the little icons like pop up, and it's like more things to do. But I think like to kind of go back a little bit to last week, just I think this game it's not the Zelda that we deserve, but the one we need right now, right? Like it's definitely that. Like it feels good to play, and it feels good to have a good meaty Zelda story to dive into.
it's definitely meaty.
I still don't like that Link is the only one we can customize for his outfit. I don't know. I think it would have been cool, at least Zelda, to customize her. The others, I kind of understand from a story standpoint why you wouldn't want to customize them, because they have a specific look to them. But at the same time, certain cutscenes, they always put Link back in his Breath of the Wild tunic, even though I have dyed everything black and made everything, like I've done that whole thing for him with the I have the Sheikah thing, the stealth suit or whatever. Yeah, but speaking of the Sheikah thing, man, like all of the, what is that symbol, the Eye of Truth or whatever? Like all of the Sheikah Yiga stuff in this game is like so cool, and I love that they're putting all that stuff like forward. I'm hoping to get through the rest of that game today, the core story, so I can then go and watch all of the lore videos about this stuff, because I'm like, this is the stuff I'm like super excited about. Do you have a favorite cutscene so far?
Chapter 3, when Link finally gets the Master Sword, like that whole cinematic of him fighting, it felt very like Smash Brothers trailer type of fighting.
Yes.
Where it's just like, they just made like a badass, and you didn't expect him to be able to hold his own the way he does. Like, he has some like hidden strength or something. Like, he looks weaker than what he really is.
Yeah.
Until you see him in action. And the way he could just shove people with a shield. And just like, he doesn't break his stance, and they fly like 20 feet away from him or something. But it's
so good.
so cool.
The Master Sword also, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that has been such a welcomed addition to this game compared to Breath of the Wild, where it just felt like
it doesn't lose its charge.
Yeah, man. Like it.
Well,
and I'm of two minds, because like I feel like the fact that they put in that DLC for the Trial of the Sword, where you can unlock the full power of it and all that stuff, is really cool. But after I fell out of rhythm with it and just did not have the skill set to get through that stuff, and I never got all the way. I think I made it almost through the second. Like I think there's 30 levels, and I got to I made it through the first chunk. The second chunk, I made it to the like penultimate one of that, when I was at my best, and then I've tried to go back since and just can't get anywhere with it. I think that's cool, and story wise, it explains like him earning the sword and really like bonding with the sword and all that, but this being able to have a full row of hearts, hit Y, and a thing goes, an energy wave goes flying out of it. It's just such a cool feeling.
That's ever since I got that, I haven't switched my weapons, so I don't use spears or the two-handed weapons anymore. I only use them and also like the bow is key, like throughout a lot of these fights, and I never took advantage of it a lot before, and it helps a lot.
Yeah, I got used to using the bow, and then I was like, I'm going to try the two-handed sword for another level, because I felt like I liked that the one time I did it. And I switched back to it and went to go do the bow, and when you have the two-handed sword equipped, you can't use the bow. You just use like a weird, cool, like heavy attack from the two-handed. And I was like, oh, I missed my bow, but now I'm trapped in this level, and I can't change weapons until I get out.
The two-handed weapons are cool, because you can use that trigger instead to do stronger attacks, but it takes away your health. But then if you quickly hit just strong attack, he eats food real quick and replenishes it. So
yeah, full
as long as you don't
style.
Yeah, as long as you don't get hit.
Like, I really liked. So the music in this game has been something that I'm surprisingly into. The one scene that I think I noticed it the most is, I forget which chapter it is, like 4 or 5 maybe, and you are in Hyrule Castle with Princess Zelda talking to King Zelda, whatever her
Rome.
dad's name is.
I think his name is Rome.
Yeah, yeah. And Zelda's got some weirdo contraption, this little like figurine or whatever that she's trying to decode, and he's telling her to, stop putting her attention to so much thing or whatever it was. Like he's just, dismissive of whatever she wants to do. But all along in the background is that like really subtle Ganon's theme playing on piano. Is it Ganon's theme, right?
Yeah, so a lot of the songs in this game I realized are like they sound original for the most part, and then they throw in little bits of different Zelda melodies.
Yeah.
Throughout them. So like when you're in a forest, you hear a teeny bit of Lost Woods in there. When you're around the castle, you hear a bit of Ganon's theme. I think when you got the Master Sword, you hear a bit of the original Zelda theme, like a
so cool. Yeah, it's like
theme.
Because Breath of the Wild was so ambient with its music and still worked. Like I think all the music worked in that game really well, but the lack of like an instrument in Breath of the Wild and a lack of like that kind of stuff, I think put music in the back for a little bit, and this is like bringing it out subtly and just drawing out little pieces of it.
It feels cinematic. Like if they made a movie trailer, this is the music I would imagine they would use, where like it wouldn't be a full on just recreation of the theme or any melody. It would be like their own take with throwing that in there as like a good nod or something.
Yeah, because we've heard those songs outside of games before, but it's typically done with like a huge orchestra, and it's very much like over the top, where this is so subtle and so like you almost don't recognize that it's there. But it's, man, really, really good. It stood out to me playing through.
I do miss the butt rock, though.
Yeah, the butt rock was good. I read a bunch of interviews with developers and Aonuma about the development of this one, and that was the one thing he talked about is like, it's different not having the heavy metal guitar versions of everything. Last thing about this that I realized last night that I forgot about, how good it feels to play a video game Ben Barris style Joy-Con spread eagle. I was played on the TV mostly, then I switched to handheld for a little bit, and then when I went to go put it back, I just popped the Joy-Con right off, and I was like, all right, let me do this. Sat down and just being able to like lounge and just, oh my gosh, it felt so good. It got a little cramped because the backs of your hands end up like I was like resting, and that didn't feel great, but man, just super good. Super good. I'm excited to keep playing that one and wrap it up, but yeah, I super like that game. Like, to the point where as we're getting close here to the end of the year and we're thinking about those things, I'm like, this is on that list for me, for sure. So we've seen Hyrule Warriors, now Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and then we had Fire Emblem Warriors. Matt, which Nintendo property should get its own Warriors title next?
Splatoon.
I did not consider that at all when thinking of this question, and man, I'd be so down with that. You could tell the battle of the great Octo War.
Yeah,
man.
Also, that one should be played co-op.
Mm-hmm. Man, that'd be really good.
Talking about the music, could you imagine music in that game?
Oh my god.
Now, see, like, there's a thing throughout Dynasty Warriors games that they've never gotten rid of for every version, even with these other franchise-based ones, and it's archers or ranged people, and they always annoy the hell out of me. Like, I'll be doing so good somewhere, then I'll be in a good comment, and just one little arrow out of nowhere just does like a dumb little dirty shot, and just ruins the whole flow. Or in Hyrule Warriors, when I have my Master Sword fully charged, and shooting all those beams, and one little Octorok spits a rock at my face. I'm like, you mother.
Yep. You got that, or you have like 5 little moblins with or bokoblins,
just run into them, just get wailed. Now Splatoon's just going to be all that.
I'm good with that though, man. I would be so down with the Splatoon one. Yeah. Honestly, I think the more I thought about this question last night, I think any Nintendo property could make a good Musou game. But yeah, Splatoon's really good.
I would actually want to see a Mario one.
You can do that. It's easy. You get the different power-ups. Oh my god.
I mean, you could pull off stuff like they did in the RPG games, Mario and Luigi, whatever.
Oh yeah. Just 7,000 Goombas on the screen.
Oh yeah.
That I thought of the question because I was playing this obviously, and I was like, man, there's like I felt like the only reason that they were able to do this game is because Breath of the Wild was so good, so well received, and Zelda's in a good spot. And I was like, I hope one day we get to a point where Metroid is in a good enough spot that they can farm it out to other people and do weird things with it.
Would you say Pikmin is a reverse Muso?
I wouldn't have until today, but now, moving forward, I will only describe that game as reverse Muso. Yeah. 100 versus 1, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of potential there for Muso games, and I hope Nintendo keeps exploring that. They seem like they have a good thing going with Omega Force, but time will tell.
I always called it Womega Force because they had that W for no reason.
That W, yeah. Well, if you're thinking about picking up Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and you've been on the fence, I hope we've pushed you over it because I really think it's good. I even think we were talking about it a little bit before recording, and I was telling Matt that even like without a strong affinity for Breath of the Wild, I think this game still is super good and super playable and fun.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see this, I just think of Shadow of War, and like one of the best parts of that game that turned sour, unfortunately, towards the end because of how much you had to do it. But like the castle sieges and the defending of the castles, like in that game, they are kind of a Muso-esque kind of thing. I just like I don't know. I just feel like sometimes that game had the advantage of having the Batman combat, which I really like, and had like, all the systems built around that, including a Nemesis system in the background. But I just fear this one might be a little bit too mindless for me. And I know you said there's ways around that, but like I don't know. I feel like I might get settled in a way and then lose interest halfway through.
I had a point last night where I was playing and I was like, man, I'm hitting Y a lot. And then I remembered when I reviewed the first one, and I said that I remember I don't remember the exact phrasing of my line from the review, but something like going into it, all I'd ever heard about these games is that you just mash Y. And yeah, I mashed Y a lot, but I had a great time or whatever I said. I remembered that last night as I'm mashing Y and thinking, boy, I'm hitting Y a lot. And then I was like, okay, well then that's on me. I'm doing something wrong. Because there's so many other, like, then I should switch a character. I should try a different combo. There's other things I could be doing. Like, I think if you are doing that, I'm not going to say that you're not going to hit the Y button, because you are going to hit the Y button. But there's also stuff you do with ZR with triggers. There's also you get the fire, ice, and electricity wands at your disposal. So you kind of hit L and then one of the face buttons to call down fire, lightning, or ice. And then on the right bumper, or R, you have quick map of your magnesis. And like, you should be constantly doing those things. And then each character also has their own nuance to them. So there's a lot of variety, to the point where I feel that more in this game than the last game. And maybe the last one had it and I just didn't explore it enough, but
and like maybe it's because I'm doing it the way I am, but like they rehash a lot of things. There are bosses that might seem important for the story, and then they just end up becoming little side missions to fight them again for like 5 more times for no reason. So there's a lot of that going on too. So like maybe if you're just playing it just to get through the main part of the game, I think it's worth playing through. I don't think it's worth 100% completing, because it starts to feel it overstays its welcome with a lot of things, and you kind of want things, even with the story for a little bit, you kind of wish it just ended just a teeny bit sooner than it does. But yeah, it's worth playing, not worth completing, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's like when I was doing one of the missions last night, or when I was doing the let me do a bunch of these side missions so I can level up my characters. I had a podcast on and was listening to that. But I like when I hit a point where a cutscene happened, I like something inside of me threw just stop, pause the podcast. You know what I mean? I had to, like,
those moments matter.
Genuinely interested in the story, so that's good. If you are interested in Super Mario Maker for the Wii U, know that it has been announced Super Mario Maker will be delisted on January 13th, 2021, unavailable for purchase. And then online services will come to an end on March 31st, 2021, which includes the bookmarking website that they have where you can kind of go in and queue up a bunch of levels to play. I assume, you won't be able to play other people's levels at that point. So I guess download your favorites now, or I don't know. This is sad, and it's also sad in the wake of me remembering that the Miiverse existed once this week.
Rip.
But it's a bummer because as much as I liked Super Mario Maker 2, it did not have everything I wanted that the original did. It made so many good changes, but something about having those two screens on the original just made that game what it was. So the true king.
Mario's just going to be gone by next year. That's what...
Yeah,
right?
Every Mario game's going away on March 31st.
Just won't exist anymore in our minds.
If that means, though, that we can make room for new Zelda and Metroid Muso games and all sorts of fun stuff, Splatoon Muso, then
can I get an F-Zero Muso?
Yeah. Yes.
Just run over everything.
It's called Twisted Metal.
Oh, that's pretty good. Just driving through cars. Let them all blow up.
That'd be fun. I would play that.
Yeah, I could do that. Well, Matt, you would also play Demon Souls as you've been playing this week. This was your big one for the week, huh?
Yeah, I sunk a lot of time into it this week. I didn't even play anything else really, unless I went to my PC to play like Warzone or something. But this was the meat and potatoes of my week. Man, this is what I mean. It's one of those FromSoftware games. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into, and I kind of my first point here is like it's weird that I'm playing this one last. I guess not like Dark Souls 2 or 3, but of all like the different franchises they have, I'm playing this one last because as I'm going through the levels, I can so easily be like, all right, they definitely stole this character for this game. They definitely stole this area for that game. There's like all these different things, just like art styles, AI, just these little things that I just keep seeing over and over. And I'm like, I've kind of already encountered one of you, so I might kind of know how to take you out in a way. Like, there's in one of the Archstones, there's a prison area, and very, very quickly you see like an enemy that's very familiar to a Brainsucker in Bloodborne, where like they have a projectile and they come and like they literally grab you and like suck, like, you know, like it's a terrible looking animation, but like they come in and pull out the brain juices. Yeah, it doesn't look good, but and then you probably die. But like they have that paralyzing like magic move, right? You can't move and you're just done. Like it's a stun lock. So like you're seeing like all the inspirations for like all their different areas and their different games like in this one. But now it looks really pretty and is very well lit. Because some of the screens I've seen of the first one, that seems like a very dark game. I'm just happy that the newer art styles kind of brighten it up a little bit. I don't know if they meant to do that or if it just kind of naturally happened with all the different lighting effects that were possible, not just on a PS5, but just like today, period, you know, as opposed to early PS3. So, like it's just weird kind of going through and seeing all that. But like, once again, this is... It is a really good game, and it's so similar to Dark Souls in so many ways, and I don't know how they got away with some of the things they got away with without Sony suing them, because there are just some things, like all the systems.
Right, because they didn't own this, right? Like, they took the...
Yeah, this is Sony's IP, but Dark Souls plays almost exactly the same, like from like movements... to like the weapon upgrade system, the soul system, of course, that's come across different games now at this point. Human versus soul form, like what happens if you're human and you die and go to your soul form, what you can do in your human form, what you can't do in your soul form, or you know, like, or advantages being a soul form as opposed to human form, like with like invading, like world invaders, like which is the PvP part. And then, like, even in Dark Souls, there was the you got to some points in the levels where like there was this golden fog that you needed a special item from a special boss to proceed. And very early in the first Archstone, after the first, not the first boss, but the second boss, like there is a fog, and it says you need to beat one of the archdemons to proceed. And it's like, all right, well, we're at this point, very much here. But the one thing that they did, and it might have been just like a technical limitation of the time, but like every other game has that connected world where there's always the weird little shortcuts they get back and forth, and this does not have that. This is it's actually the game separated from 5 different areas completely. They can all be gotten to via archstones, which are like the bonfires in this game. From the Nexus, which has the 5 like actual archstones for you to travel to. And they are their own contained little places. Now there is very it's not just like the one has a swamp area, but it's not all just a swamp area. It is there's a bunch of other things that make it look different and evolve in the level besides it just being a giant poison swamp, which that is a theme across all their games. I don't know why you need a poison swamp in every single one of these games. I'm getting tired of it because these are always the worst areas. But yeah,
that's because you think about the corruption of man, right? Like man in power will build this high castle and expensive, like show off all of the luxuries of life right next to the lowest of lows, just some poison swamp where swamp people live, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, well, the boss in this area ends up just being like a giant turd that shoots shit at you. So that's, there it is.
Are you playing Conquer?
No, this one was a lot harder than I'm sure the Conquer boss was. No, but it's, but then you go to level design, but like the actual core of it's all there. It's still very much the shortcuts. There's no bonfires or, like I said, archstones that are not behind a boss gate. It is all shortcut driven. So some of sometimes the shortcuts are really nice. Other times there's really not one between archstones, so you have to kind of battle your way through, which there's some tough grinds back to a boss after you die. But then because this is the first one of those games, like some of that gingerbread that you see from bosses and is not really there. The complexity, once you see the boss, that is how it kind of plays the entire fight. There's no evolving of it where the moveset kind of changes halfway through. I've yet to see one. I don't think there's going to be one where it's all right, you killed it once. Is it dead yet? I don't think I'm going to see any of that. The boss, they're fun. They're well designed. There's only one. It was the end of the Archstone where there's a whole bunch of fire. It was the Dragon God, which for the cover boy of this game, he's a terrible boss. It sucks. It's the worst fight I've had. It was the one I did right before we started recording today. So, but it's once again, it's all there. You can see the inspiration. You can see where they kind of wanted to go with the systems, or where they knew they had to evolve them, and where it goes. And it's just weird that this is the newest one, but you're still playing their first go at something like this, and you're seeing how it is all involved over time, where they got the inspiration for some of their things, even some of the enemies. There was literally a scene which is very much like Dark Souls, where demons pick you up and take you to a whole other place, much like there is in Dark Souls when you first see Honor Orlando in this game. And it's that is, I bet you I could see some of the same coding in that cutscene for whatever. It's wild to think of some of the things that they managed to get away with in this game.
Do you feel like this is the modern Zelda, the way that people felt about it in 2009? 2009. Listen to me.
I mean,
but that was the idea. That was what I remember people going on about. Is this is what it should be. Especially when Skyward Sword was happening and it was what it was.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the different archstones, it feels a little bit more like that, because you feel like you're going into these different dungeons, and the way the levels are laid out is very much all right, here's boss 1 and it leads to boss 2, and then usually there's the arch demon is the end of the level, and that could feel like your mini bosses to your big dungeon boss, or whatever there. But I guess you get a little bit more of this game, but once you go to the more open world where, like Dark Souls, like everything's kind of connected with shortcuts. Bloodborne, everything's kind of connected with shortcuts. I know Dark Souls 2 and 3, from what I've heard, is not as cohesive of a map, but it still has all those elements. Sekiro, everything's kind of connected, and everything has this weird shortcuts. So I think once you go to the more open world games that they have, it gets away from what your traditional Zelda looks like. But I can see very much the comparison to your traditional Zelda game, not Breath of the Wild, in the way it kind of designs its levels and things like that.
Is this... forgive me for assuming, but I know you by now, and I know your tones. How are you feeling on this one? Like, it does not seem like this is completely... Like, you're into it, but this does not seem like...
No, I'm very much into it. I'm just like, when you start looking at it critically, like, you can't say, like, oh, well, this is doing the new thing. But then, at the same time, you remember, well, this is just a remake. This is the first one of those. I
just remember Matt platinuming Sekiro and Matt platinuming... Right, like, I remember the enthusiasm you had there, and I don't hear that here.
Oh, no. I'm like, there's so many. This game, there's enough different in some of the things that they do, because there's these things called world tendencies, and some of them are dark and some of them white. But in typical FromSoftware, fashion, I'm like 20 to 25 hours into this game, and I have no idea how to change the world tendencies. I don't know. There's an item. There's like I have to die so many times or what. But I can't wait. I've been really good about like not looking up anything, not like me just exploring, doing whatever, trying to organically figure this all out. But once I beat it and get an ending, I don't care which one it is. Like, I'm going to start diving into like, all right, what do the world tendencies do? What if it's a dark tendency? What new enemies pop up? What new loot pops up? All right, as opposed to the white tendency, like what does that look like? There's many different things. It's just like when I played Bloodborne, that was my first ever FromSoft game. The gothic horror, the whole
the Lovecraftian.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Lovecraftian themes, like that was a really unique idea. The whole, like, once you figure out Yharnam's like the center of everything, and you get the Cathedral Ward, and you go 4 different ways, and it like you might die in 2 of the ways, but you can still get there if you really try to. Like, that was my first one of those, and then from the FromSoft gameplay, which I've come to really like. Then I went to Sekiro. Sekiro changed the formula enough, but it's still that kind of base thing, but with the new kind of like ninja thing to it, the stealth action gameplay that was more so a little bit faster than, well, actually a lot faster than what you're used to with Bloodborne. Now I went to Dark Souls, the kind of the original one, not the original because of Demon Souls, but like I play one of those and I was enamored. One, like how it plays so similar to Bloodborne, but it's so much slower, and then the world design, because I do think Dark Souls, the first one, has a better world design than Bloodborne when it comes to connectivity, shortcuts, and all that stuff. And then the fact that you can't fast travel for the first 2/3 of that game, so you kind of make yourself remember them. There was just something groundbreaking there for me that I really liked. But like this is the first one that led to all of those. So like I've seen all the mechanics, and because it's a remake, they didn't really do anything too new with it. It's kind of like I've seen it all before, but I really appreciate going back. I'm glad that this is back because it's not even online anymore, PS3. So like I'm glad that like, the online servers are back. I'm glad I get to experience this in a new way, and I don't have to go back to a PS3 to experience it. But yeah, it's just like, you know, each one of those things when I played it, even going back to Dark Souls, there was something new about it that enamored me. I'm still enamored. It's just I've seen all the things that they can do, and with it being so similar to Dark Souls, like it definitely just feels like, hey, this is the prequel to Dark Souls, but it's not even the prequel, it's the original because it's before. That's all. No, I really love this game. I still think like if you have a PS5 or if you want a PS5 for this game, I think it's still absolutely worth it. To an extent where I think it's a better game than Miles Morales in a way, but like I said, I've seen that even
it's not surprising, but it's still great.
Exactly. Yeah. I've seen what they can do with the inspiration.
Well, seeing what they can do, we've seen ninja, we've seen gothic cosmic horror, we've seen medieval, soon we'll see
Vampires, right?
vampire-y stuff. Mark, what's next for the FromSoftware formula? What genre or archetype or whatever, what thing I'm trying to describe?
Well, I know they have those. I can't say mech because they've done that. They even did Metal Wolf Chaos, but even the more serious ones, right? Like I forget the name of that series.
Armored Core?
Is it Armored Core?
Yeah,
It's their mech one, yeah.
Yeah. I always think that mixed with Mech Warrior, and I don't know. I mean, I know why, but
sounds in there.
I'm gonna say Western. I'm gonna say cowboy.
Western. I was going pirate, so I think we're one or the other.
Yeah,
I think there's only two that are left.
I would love to see FromSoftware try to do gunplay in their hard ass environment. Armored Core, you could easily just be like, all right, set of souls, it's scrap, and when you die, you have to get a new robot because all the scrap's gone.
I mean, Metal Wolf was all guns and everything, right? But with this one, I'm kind of picturing like bullets are they're not exactly scarce, but you know, they're I'm not sure if it would be exactly your primary either. I think it's like a last resort kind of thing. So I'm thinking like it's more like a knife or like a rope fighting kind of thing.
Indiana Jones just with a whip, right?
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, you know.
Has anyone done good rope swinging in a game yet?
Not like hit R2 because you see the little reticule.
I want to like rotate. I want to swing the Joy-Con.
Yeah, like I know what you want. I don't think anyone's done that.
Yeah.
You want carpal tunnel.
Oh, I got it. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I'm curious to see how From goes. What happened to Armored Core? Aren't they making one? Weren't they making one like 7 years ago?
Well, you know, because of the pandemic, it had to get delayed. So
I don't even know.
I would love that. Would be a great game show, Mr. Keeley. If your Game Awards announcement, if you're looking for something, if you need any ideas, I'd maybe reach out to From and say, y'all want to show off an Armored Core?
It's like that or like Space Pirate.
You know how many people would be pissed off if they showed Armored Core and we still don't have a release date on the next one?
Oh, good point.
What, Elden Ring? Right?
Yeah, Elden Ring.
Oh, you know what, though? They could come out and say, here's a release date. It's coming out tomorrow. It's free for anyone who complains about it. And then also, here's Armored Core. And people would still complain about all of it anyway. Because that's the way that... I'm also convinced that most of the internet at this point is just bots fighting with each other. And then people getting mad at the bots and fighting with the bots. So... heck them, you know?
Think you found your next game?
I know we asked about FromSoftware, but what's Bluepoint's next project here? Because this, I mean,
Bloodborne, right?
Something from Konami.
I would love Metal Gear. I know GameCube got the Twin Snakes, but I want like Metal Gear Solid 5 mechanics, Metal Gear Solid.
They've teased so many projects with Konami before. Like people thought there was going to be a Symphony of the Night. Some people thought it was going to be a Metal Gear. People thought Silent Hill.
I don't see them doing Silent Hill because they use so much of the source code from Demon Souls. That's
what I was going to say. Is like you're playing this and it feels like the same game with prettier stuff, and that's kind of how Shadow of the Colossus was. What else? I don't know. Like I don't know which. I would assume something like Bloodborne would be the next thing because that's also first party Sony. Sony is definitely going to be pleased with this because even if this game were bad, it's sold because it's one of two games that people are pushing for the PlayStation 5 right now. So commercially, I'm sure they would want to go back and work with them again. I could see a Bloodborne get that thing to 60, get it to 4K, all of that stuff. Like, you know, that's an easy one. And Bloodborne's so highly revered that you would want that on I could lock it in. Lock in the... we don't have a whiteboard. We never got a whiteboard, but... Speaking of the future of video games, Sega will air a pre-recorded Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis official broadcast on December 19th at 6:30 in the morning. The broadcast will feature new information acting as a follow-up to the broadcast that aired during Tokyo Game Show 2020 online in September. Mark, is it time to check back in with Phantasy Star Online 2?
I'm not itching at the moment.
Why don't you just wait to see what's new?
Yeah, because this is going to let you bounce between the two.
I'm sure they'll do the, hey, if you log in today, you'll get a free Sonic helmet that gives you +5 speed. I don't know.
I don't need speed. That's fine.
I got the helmet. I got the suit.
Yeah, that's right. You did.
You get a Tails bottom, so that way you can fly and hover, and your friends can leave you, and you get dragged along.
You can do that as
you think I don't already have Tails' bottom?
if you have a female character and you bought the Sega thing, you have an emote where you have Tails' tails, and you're just flying around as a way to move.
I thought you get to do the peace sign Tails thing.
Oh, now you just get to hover around with 2 foxtails attached to you. But I mean,
I'm also good with that. This
is cool. I'm probably not gonna watch that broadcast. At least like not right away. I'll try to check it out at some point. But right now, I'm fine with not keeping a close eye on this game. I think I'll be more excited as it, when it just releases. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm in.
Did you finish all of the core story stuff in PSO2?
No. The way they handled that this time around. So I remember when it was only in Japan, you would do missions, as poorly translated as they were, or half translated. You would find cutscenes while you were exploring the level. I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, it's different, but I don't mind this necessarily. It's all optional. But then this time around, for English, the whole story mode is just a list of things to watch. And you do the occasional boss fight every, 50 cutscenes. And it's like, why? I'm getting all these perks for just watching this, but, holy crap, I'd rather have just watched these as I'm playing a level that way. I can do 2 birds,
Yeah, or just sit down and watch it all on YouTube and never play the game anyway, right?
Right, or you can watch the anime. It's following the exact same storyline.
Right.
Cards that give you more lore than the actual game.
There you go. Why not? Download the app.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of lore, we're going to take a dive into the dungeon after a quick break. When we return, we'll see there's not many rooms left in the dungeon, Marc. So we'll find out what awaits right after this. Welcome to the dungeon. It is time to keep on crawling in the dark. Sorry, I stole your joke, Mark. Are you ready to continue through the dungeon? I guess Matt and Mark.
Yeah.
Because, Mark, you found Matt in the caves last week when we left off. I don't remember where you left off. Did you leave off with Sephiroth? Or no, you went back for the cupcake.
Yeah.
Yes. So you made it all the way back to the cupcake room. So we're it looks like that cupcake room, you tossed the wrapper down to the ground and Matt said, hey, don't litter. And he went and picked it up, and just beside the cupcake wrapper, he found 3 more keys. So you have some keys from Matt.
That's a big wrapper.
Looks like are you supposed to have 2 keys from Matt or 1 key from Matt? I don't remember.
2, but I only used 1 last week.
All right. So you've got 5 keys plus a special key. Don't know what the special key is for just yet, but I guess we'll find out. Where do you want to go, Mark? You've got doors in the Sephiroth room leading left or right, and then you've got a door to the right of Matt's dungeon room.
I'm going to go to the right of Matt's dungeon room.
Ooh, very good. All right, let's unlock that door for you.
And as we're walking through the Bloodborne room, I'm like, hey, remember when you got this question wrong?
It's funny you say that, because I'm going to bring up that game in a little bit here for a question.
So you make your way into room D19, and oh no, it's a slime. The slime falls from the sky and asks you, which year did Dragon Quest first debut?
Oh, damn. I'm going to say, it has to be the 80s. I'm going to say 85 was my impulse answer, but I feel like it's 86.
Wow. It is 86. Good thing you didn't go with your gut on that one. It was 1986. For a bonus point, what was it called in America?
Dragon Warrior.
Wow, look at that. You were going to take 2 hits, but instead, looks like the old slime gave you a lick, made you happy. You each get +1 to your HP.
Wow.
Wow. You've got a locked door just above you, just above the slime room, or you can make your way back through to Sephiroth.
Let's go through the slime room.
All right. So hold on. Now we're down to 1 key after we go through that. And there we go. It's TV's Tony Hawk. Now you're riding with style. You move so much faster on the skateboard that Tony gave you, and now you can land 2 hits for the price of 1. Hang 10, dude, said Tony, as you skate away into the night.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony Hawk, known for his hang 10s. So that there's a dead end. Okay. So now we've got to go.
Well, I could waste a key and open the locked door between the beginning rooms, the pizza room and the...
For completion's sake, if you want to.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that.
That's a silver trophy. Unlock all doors in the dungeon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll skate on through back to the Sephiroth room, and Matt, pick a number between 1 through 10.
9.
We're going left. Odd numbers were left, evens are right.
All right. We head left past Sephiroth's corpse. Did he die? He didn't die. He's just hanging out, right?
I think he's like just crying as like a half a body and naked.
That checks out. Mark, sitting in this room here just past Sephiroth, there's an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5.
Okay.
What do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I back away slowly.
Is that your final answer?
No. I guess I look around to see if there are other doors in this room first.
No doors. Just the consoles sitting there in their boxes.
Yeah, I leave.
You don't want either of them?
No.
Oh. I didn't plan for this. All right, back to the Sephiroth room, I guess.
Well, hold on.
I'm telling you, they're mimics, dude. They're mimics.
See, like, it's either that wasn't my first thought, but that should have been my first thought.
I played Dark Souls.
my first thought is, if I take one of them, something bad's going to happen. Because that's just how it goes. You don't just... I mean, well, we got that cupcake, and that was fine. There was no repercussions there. But that's also just a cupcake when we're comparing it to a system.
Does that Series X still have Master Chief logos and printing all over it, or does it not?
Oh yeah, it's retail. It's retail, baby.
Okay.
All right. After some consulting with Matt, wait, doesn't one of us have Doesn't one of us have like a weapon?
You have a special key, and then I don't know.
I think
you probably
you're-
picked up some.
Yeah, I think your weapon got absorbed into your attack power.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? There's two of us. I'm gonna go in and pick up the Xbox.
Okay, you grab the Xbox. The PlayStation leaps out of the box and attacks you for -1 health.
Oh, you motherfucker!
If you had taken both, you would have had +2 to your attack.
No,
But
well,
you weren't greedy, so you were punished. That's the lesson of the day.
thanks, Jim Ryan.
I don't know how it leapt at you because it didn't have his goddamn feet on because you have to install it out of the box.
Just landed on its face.
All right, you've got Matt's 2 special keys, and it looks like another locked door there.
Yeah, I guess we'll go to the right of the Sephiroth room.
Alrighty.
Uh-oh.
So,
Agent 47.
in the door awaits you. You walk in, and there's a man facing the wall. It's dark. You can tell he's wearing a suit. He's fully bald, and you see what appears to be a barcode on the back of his neck before a hammer goes flying by your head. Dodging it quickly, you lean in to notice the man's holding yet another hammer. Agent 47 asks you, when was the first Hitman game released?
What? 2003?
Agent 47 stalls because he can't remember and forgot to write it down when he wrote the question.
I was going to say 4, but I'm going to say 3.
2000.
2000? What? Oh, okay.
Is that correct? Supposedly. He throws the hammer at you yet again, but you dodge. He asks to redeem yourself before it's too late. Who played Agent 47 in the first motion picture adaptation?
Oh. Why am I thinking Timothy Elephant?
Because it's Timothy Oliphant. Agent 47 gives you the hammer because you've answered one of his questions correctly. That is +10 to your attack because, as we know, the hammer is the best weapon
Holy crap.
ever made. Mark, that brings you up to a total of 15 attack points.
Magnus.
Of course, you've got Matt's 3 to help you out. I know that seems like a staggering difference between the two, but that's just because you've got the hammer. But you know what? Matt goes ahead and picks up one of those hammers off the floor on the way towards the special door.
I was going to say,
remaining.
can you use the skateboard as a weapon?
Well, the skateboard lets you attack twice for the price of one.
Right.
So you can do that. It looks like we've got one door left, and you've got your special key. Mark, with one door remaining, are you ready to enter and see what awaits you at the end of the road?
No fear, no rules. Get fat. Let's do it.
Using the special key, you unlock the door. And of course, the winner of who would win in a fight now awaits Ganon, the demon god, sitting inside. Ganon sitting in with a whopping 100 points of health. In order to take him out, you're going to need... So, of course, you can hit twice now. You're on your skateboard moving quickly around him. You've got Agent 47's hammer at your disposal, and so does Matt. But we're going to need to hit him a couple times. Mark, the only way that Ganon can go down is by hearing fun facts and deep trivia about Ganon. Go.
Crap. Okay. Shit, where do I start? Wow, I'm actually stumped. Skateboard hit a pebble and I fell off of it.
As you roll to the side, Ganon snarls at you, the heat of his breath weighing down on you. Why is Ganon a pig?
You know, I actually never questioned that. I don't know why it's a pig.
I did at some point, and I don't remember what it is.
I think pigs were just like a good source of being a villain in games. Like Battletoads had pigs to fight. You know, I guess they just seem disgusting, even though they're actually one of the cleaner animals.
Yeah, they're in Star Fox also.
I know, and I also don't know why he uses a trident. I guess that was just he doesn't always use a trident though. Sometimes he has the two blades. I know when it comes to Ganondorf versus Ganon, when it comes to Ganondorf in his more Gerudo form,
yes.
I think it's every 100 years.
What? Yeah, there's a male Gerudo born once every 100 years. So Ganon took the form of Ganondorf as that single male to be raised and infiltrate.
Yeah, and that only happened Ocarina of Time, and it carried out, I guess, with Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, but technically not since.
Yeah.
We don't know about Breath of the Wild 2 at all. I mean, we kind of do, but
yeah, I'm very curious to see who's in that crypt.
we just saw,
people.
we just saw a corpse. We don't know who it is, but you can assume.
You can assume.
So I guess he liked that vessel, but as far as Ganon goes, that's technically just a reincarnation of Demise, which was the old, as old as the goddess Hylia. It's just evil incarnate, pure whatever.
Which games do not feature Ganon as an antagonist?
Oh, okay. So obviously Majora's Mask is one. Zelda 2, technically he's in it, but for a game over screen, you never fight him. Dark Link is your final boss.
Yep.
The Oracle games, he is not a final boss in unless you beat both games and do the final quest, which requires a password from both of those games. I haven't played the DS games, Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks. So I don't think he's in those. I guess you can count Skyward Sword in a sense because it's not Ganon.
Sure.
No. Breath of the Wild is a little finicky. Because
I wouldn't say he's totally in it.
Yeah, I mean, an essence of him is in it, but I wouldn't say it's him. Am I missing anything else? Link's Awakening, he's not in any of those versions.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he's not in Triforce Heroes.
I don't think he is.
And A Link Between Worlds, I don't think was exactly him, right?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I know, like, there was a boar, like a pig you had to fight and, like, whatever, but I think it was that other guy, like, fused with stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that's enough Ganon trivia to hit the pig a couple of times and knock him down on his back.
Stupid pig.
Sending him back for 100 years. You reach the end of the temple, and the dungeon, as a prize, you've won 3 copies of The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, so we can all finally play together on our 3DSs. I'm just kidding. I didn't spend $120 for this. But boy...
I mean, I own one
have.
copy.
Wait, you own this game?
Yes.
Okay, I'm buying it.
That's why I hate it so much.
I thought you just tried the demo and then were like, no way.
No, even if it's a Zelda game I'm not going to like, I'm still going to buy it.
That's fair. I wish I had a bigger, more grand prize, but I think the journey was kind of what I had in mind.
Seeing you build this dungeon as we go on, that the silhouette of this pig just sent me. I don't know why.
I feel like we need to I need to put some actual thought into this and just go full D&D. But until then, that is the end of our current ongoing segments.
I enjoyed it.
Huh?
I see what you did here.
What did I do?
When you zoom out and look at the dungeon as a whole, it looks like it makes a skull like the final dungeon in Zelda. It's a nice touch.
It's all part of the plan, you know? Yeah, that was fun. I don't know maybe next week we'll just take a break from an ongoing segment and I'll give myself some time to think of something new, but we'll have something. I'll find something.
Well, thank you for that.
And I found something this last week on sale. Finally, Persona 5 Royal, part of the PlayStation Store's Black Friday sale. There were a lot of games that I kept saying, I'll buy it when it's this price. I'll buy it when it's whatever. And Persona 5 Royal, I was ready to buy it for $60 the week before. The only reason I didn't is because Hyrule Warriors was coming and I didn't want to drop money on something knowing that I was going to be diving into Hyrule. Then Persona 5 was half off, so for $30 I jumped into that. I did that over grabbing Resident Evil 3 for $19.79. But yeah, Persona 5. I finally did it. You, Mark, watched the anime of this, right?
I watched the anime of Persona 4.
Okay.
I think I was going to start 5, but I think I'd rather just play the game, which I've yet to play, or vanilla Persona 5.
So I played a little bit of 5 raw, and I'm past where I got in the original game now in Royal. But even in the little opening bit I did play of the original, there's some differences here with Royal, namely this new character that shows up, this redheaded character who shows up in the game. She makes more appearances within the story really early on. So my experience with Persona in the past, I played sometime in Golden. I probably put about as much time into 4 Golden as I have in Persona 5 Royal. Obviously Persona 4 Golden was like one of the must-have games on Vita. If you had a Vita, everyone in the world told you have to get Persona 4 Golden. And I got to a point in that game where I had been peeking at a guide, and the guide was very much giving you, here's the exact thing you need to do, the perfect blah, 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 you have to do this, you have to do this. And then I got the thing where, like, in order to maximize your relationships and whatever, you had to talk to this person on this day, talk to this person on that day. And I got to a point where I had a single day left to save whoever the person was from the castle. And if I didn't finish it that day, they were gone forever. I could never unlock them, could never get the friendship or whatever. Because I've been like looking at the guide, but not following the guide to a T, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to experience it for myself, and ended up shooting myself in the foot and running out of time because my characters were too underleveled to make it through the dungeon. So I just kind of got turned off and never went too far. I played some of Persona 3 on PSP, and I really liked that one from what I played of it, but the dungeon itself was more of a like straight up dungeon crawler, like floor by floor. Like 4 and 5 seem to have these really big, robust dungeons that are like, there's like different rooms and different room types that you go through, where 3 is very much just like a randomized dungeon. It feels like an old school, like roguelike style thing in a way. In Royal, so you guys have seen, I'm sure, at least in Smash, but the whole idea of like the Phantom Thieves is the kind of thing behind this game, and they have that like tagline, "Steal your heart," and I never really got what any of that was, and now I get it. So, stay with me here. You play as protagonist, codenamed Joker, who, the game starts out, you are doing this heist, which seems to be like in a casino. And security's moving in, Joker runs through, you do like a little tutorial fight, and then he jumps out of this gigantic stained glass window and falls into the street. And as he's falling down, just an army of cops waiting for him to arrest him. So you're then being interrogated by this investigator, and then the interrogation is her saying, "Tell me what happened." And then you're flashing back to how all of this started. It all started because Joker in his hometown was walking home one night, and a drunk guy, was harassing some woman and kind of like trying to force her into his car. And Joker walks up and butts in. Joker kind of like pushes him or shoves him, and the guy presses charges. So Joker has a criminal record now because he stood up for some guy who was trying to beat or take advantage of some lady. And they send him to a different town to go live with some guy in a coffee shop and go to school. That's kind of his story. So you get to school, and rumors are immediately spreading that, hey, that's the weird guy. That's the guy with the criminal record. He carries a knife. Stay away from him. Like, whatever. You hear kids murmuring in the hallways and all that. And the teachers don't do you any favors either. And there's this really crummy volleyball teacher. He's just kind of like a jerk to you from the start. But then you start to hear rumors and things like that about the volleyball teacher. And I think that the thing that shocked me the most, so at a point, you have this app that shows up on your phone. So in all the Persona games, there's always a thing that connects the protagonist to this other world that they can tap into. And in this game, because it was put out in 2017, it's an app. Of course, it's an app, right? So he uses this navigation app to find his way back into the other world. And he tries to go to school on his first day, but he ends up inside of this castle. And in the castle, it's the manifestation of the ruler of the castle. It's the manifestation of their darkest, worst desires and how they view the world to themselves in their own whatever dark, warped way. So the king of this castle is the volleyball teacher. And he sees all of the students on the volleyball team as his slaves, as playthings, as whatever. And the only way to overcome the corruption in the real world with this volleyball teacher is to go in and steal his heart, quote unquote. You basically have to go into the thing and steal treasure from the castle, and that in the real world will manifest itself within this guy, and he'll feel overwrought with guilt and confess to everything he's been doing, which turns out he's been doing a lot of really bad things, which I thought this game was surface level, but I didn't realize the depths in which it goes. So
yeah, it's like it takes the metaphors and realizes them.
Yeah, like to the point where like this dude is beating these kids, and they're also like they've been beaten into submission to a certain extent. When Joker and Ryuji start to question the kids around school, like, is everything okay? Why do you have bruises all over you? Doesn't it seem a little harsh what's going on? No one will talk. No one will open up about it. And the ones that finally do, in a way, they're like, look, the principal knows, our parents know, this guy's a really good volleyball teacher, and he's our ticket to a good school. So we just have to shut up and endure it. It's that stuff, to the point where one of the characters who ends up joining your party, you find out that like she's been sleeping with him because he threatened to throw her friend off the team if she doesn't put out. Like, so like he's beating and raping kids. Like that's just, it's like way darker than I anticipated this game to be. All of that, and I'm only like 6 hours in, you know, like, and there's already like all this weight to it.
Wow.
So I guess what this game ends up being in a 100-hour RPG is you're going into different castles to overthrow corruption within the humans you interact with in the real world.
Okay.
The real world in the game is really cool. You're wandering through the streets of Japan, and it's Joker is staying with this fellow whose name is Sujiro, I think the guy's name is. He runs a coffee shop named LeBlanc's. And you live in the attic upstairs, so you get to kind of walk home from the train station through the little town. It's like a small little city block that has, you know, a secondhand store, a bread shop. Like there's all these little things you can start to interact with as the game opens up, which is neat. And you get to walk through Japanese subway stations, and it's just as confusing as an actual Japanese subway station where it's just like, which way do I go? Which stair set do I use? There's 7 stairs all here. Okay, this one. throughout the game across the board, it's just like so much style present at once. Like, if nothing else, this game is style. But it's a lot of things. But I just love the way that like the menus work. The menus are like, it's not just when you pause the menu. It's how you use the map. It's how you use the combat system in the game. Because it is, when you're in combat, turn-based RPG stuff, but it's layered, right? You can obviously, like most RPGs, you have your physical attack and then you have your magic. In this case, you're using the persona. But there's little things that start to stack there. So obviously there's weaknesses for each thing, just like in any of the Megami Tensei games or previous Persona games. But now there's also a thing, I don't know if this is in the last one or not, where you can pass the baton. So if you get a critical hit or you hit an enemy's weakness, you can then hit R2 to pass the baton to the next character in your party. And in doing so, their attacks are more powerful. If you do that up to 4 times, the fourth person can make an attack without using any health or stat points. Because all of your attacks either use your magic or your health meter, depending on the different type of attack. So there's just all these cool little gameplay tweaks to make the actual like engagement of the combat feel different than just a standard RPG. Then you have the day-to-day exploration of the town and the city and interaction with other students. And all the while, it's got this really cool, just, I think, style, like, dripping all over it. It feels familiar to what I played from Persona 3 and Persona 4. There's literally the same, like, you know, in all the Shin Megami Tensei stuff, you have those same monsters, like the little pixie, the jack, all those creatures are still there. Igor, if you guys played any of the old ones, remember Igor, the guy with the big nose who...
The Velvet, right?
I think in Persona 4...
Right.
He's in the cab.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, wait, was it a cab? Was it a limo?
Or limo.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because wasn't that like the mainstay between all these? Wasn't he like the constant?
Yeah. So there's something... And that's the thing. I've never finished one of these, so I never really know what his true purpose is. But he's definitely the like driving force that draws these protagonists together in some way. So he's there. Every time you go to sleep, you dream about meeting him in the underground world or whatever, and eventually you get to the point where that's how you start to fuse personas or do different things with persona creation.
There. Okay.
The going to sleep typically ends a day, or it does end a day, but for me, like, I always, like, bedtime doesn't necessarily mean sleep. Like, you end up going to that thing and talking to that guy or having something else happen. There's a lot of like little things about the game that feel like you're living out a day-to-day life. Like, the guy you're staying with calls you at some point, like one of your first nights, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gone. I forgot to lock up and flip the sign. Can you make sure you do that?" So now every time before I go to bed, I feel like I need to run back downstairs in the coffee shop and lock up. But like, you get to the top of the stairs and it's like, I should go to sleep. And I'm like, did we turn off the lights though? Like, I'm like doing that stuff. Like, it's real life because it feels like it to a certain point. I'm happy I'm finally playing it, but yeah, it's really good.
I know there's one character that caught my attention, and that's mostly why I want to jump into this game, other than the fact that I never really played the Persona either, so I thought this would be a good one as I need to really dive into.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, all the Personas, the theme is thieves, obviously. And all the Personas, I believe, share that common thread with their designs and whatnot. They're all in some way, right? Like, I don't know the actual story behind Joker's Persona, but I know, like, Ryuji's, I think, has, like, a pirate.
Yes, his is really cool.
You know, a thief, whatever, and, you know, I think the one girl, she's, like, dressed as, like, a cat, so it's, like, a cat burglar.
It's that, yeah, hers, it's funny, like, when she does, it's, on Takamaki, and she says, like, she finds out they have their cool names, Joker and Skull, and she's like, well, what am I? And they were like, Cat Girl, and she's like, no. So she ends up Panther.
Okay. Do you know about the one character I think wears like a like a fox mask?
I've seen the Fox mask, but I've seen it like in promo art and trailers and stuff, but I've not seen them in this game yet.
And you haven't seen like his persona or whatever?
No.
Okay.
No, what is that one?
Do you want to find out for yourself?
Yeah, all right. We'll save it for surprise. I'm sure I'm getting there close. So where I ended up, I am almost through the first castle.
Okay.
I pushed it too far, as you do in these games, and ended up getting myself killed in one of the rooms. Because I did the thing where I was like, I'll be fine. And then, nope. You get to a point where Joker unlocks his third eye, and you can use the L2 to kind of like scan an area. So you can find secrets, you can find like hidden paths, or you can check an enemy's status. So you can see if an enemy is a higher, lower, or the same level as you before you approach them. And there was one where, but I didn't even have to use the third eye. It just popped up and it was like, that guy's stronger than you. You should be real careful. And I was like, all right. And I took a step forward, went to go fight him, and he just one hit KO'd one of my people. And it was like, if you're finding that it's too whatever, you can run. And I was like, nah, I'll be fine. And I got it to where it was a matter of literally like, this next hit, if he misses, I'll be okay. If he hits, I'll be dead. But if I hit, he'll be, and he hit me, dead. Game over. Back to the last load, and I'm like, or that last save, and I'm like, all right, start this again. So I opened up. I did the thing where I played for like a good 3 hours or so, and that happened. And then I was like, all right, let me look at the map, and I looked at it. All of it's uncovered, and I was like,
need like time away from it to recharge, and like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. So I stepped away. I went and made Thanksgiving leftovers, and then came back and played Hyrule Warriors at that point. But I'm going to play more of that this week. And I think I'm at a point where Persona 5, as I start to get into more of the dungeon stuff with the castles, then I can start doing remote play if I want to and just kind of watch something and have that mirrored on another device. But it's just still beautiful, big screen. Like it looks good, sounds great. The music's really fun. And then I played some Smash last night as Joker. I went through his whole classic mode and just like, now I have a greater appreciation for the story or the songs and the stage and all that stuff. Like, and I'm only 6 hours in and I already feel like, oh, cool. So I'm sure as I get further into this game, my affinity for that stuff will get deeper.
Nice.
So before you move on here, this is actually one of the games that is free. Well, not Royal, but Persona 5 as free as a PlayStation Plus if you own a PlayStation 5. Is it worth it to play that one, or would you wait or possibly buy Royal on sale so far in your 6 hours, or is it too early to tell yet?
It's too early for me to tell, but when I did the research, because I thought about, because Persona 5, I played it last December when it was on PlayStation Now, and I did that little chunk that I did do, and then I got rid of PlayStation Now because I just did like the free trial or whatever. So I thought about, like, because I was really itching to play this game. I was like, well, I can just buy that version. It's like $20. So I can just buy that, pick up my save, and finish it. And when I was looking into it, I kept seeing people say, the people who are way into this are like, play them both. Play the first one, then play Royal. And everyone else is like, yeah, cool, sick. Not everyone has the time for that. Just play Royal. And it seemed to be the consensus that if you are... If you're the type of person that you will play a game like this more and more, like if you want to play it and see every single difference and see every single alternate thing and max out your friendships and see what it looks like if you max out your friendship with this one versus that one, then probably play the core game and then play this one. I resigned to, I'm just going to play this one and be okay with that. I don't like the 1% trophy on the core Persona 5, and then this one I'll get wherever I get, but whatever, I don't, it's not that big of a deal.
I kept mixing up this game with Scramble.
Yeah, so Scramble is the sequel to Persona 5, but that is also a Muso game.
And I kept thinking that this was that sequel for some reason, but I forgot that Persona kind of does that thing where they like kind of update the game and add more stuff to it. So like Persona 4 was Golden, this one's Royal. So yeah, Royal. I think I would just jump into Royal because I would, it's kind of like buying like a director's cut of a movie or something and they added the extended scenes. Like just get everything.
That's the thing. Like what I've read is that this game is 80% the exact same.
Yeah. They just add a new character, kind of like with Catherine, right? They add another Catherine.
It's
Full
exactly
body.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So now that said, if you have a PlayStation 5 and you've got that PlayStation Plus collection, just do that. Just play it there. You know what I mean? Like, why spend extra money? You've already got it. Just go for it. Because the game is so similar. But if you're going to buy it and invest time into it, I would say buy Royal, because you're probably only going to play this once. And there are some like quality of life improvements in this one that I don't know, but I remember reading at some point. So I think I would go with Royal. Now Scramble is really rad too, but I've only ever played the demo. The demo of it dropped on the eShop, the Japanese eShop, so I downloaded it on my Japanese account and played that. And it's a direct sequel to this, but the gameplay, not unlike Hyrule Warriors, feels like they adapted this game well into a Musou setting. Mm-hmm. And that is meant to come out here next year at some point. So hopefully I can get through this before it drops in America.
Royal is not on PC, I suspect.
Yeah, no, Royal is only on PlayStation.
Give it time.
You can get Core 5 on 3 or 4, and then Royal is just on PS4. And yeah, I don't know. With the success of 4 on PC earlier this year, I would expect 5 is coming to at least PC, if not Switch.
Yeah.
But nothing yet.
Cool.
In a similar fashion, I feel like Persona 5 has a lot of style. I feel like Devil May Cry has a lot of style. And thanks to a tweet from the Japanese PlayStation account, accompanied by commentary from Dante's Japanese voice actor, we now know how to make a Devil May Cry pizza from scratch. PlayStation Japan has been doing some weirdo stuff where they just put out recipes on Twitter occasionally. The key thing I see here with this pizza is that it's pepperoni jalapeno, classic pep jalap combo. And like all good people, Dante hates olives, according to the video. If you two were making a book of recipes, which video games would you consult? We've already seen from these PlayStation 5 or PlayStation Japan tweets that Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, had its curry recipe detailed. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Sweet Rice Balls have a recipe out there on the PlayStation Twitter account. Which video game would you look to for a new recipe?
Well, my first thought was Xenoblade or Xeno Chronic, because you have every ingredient and those you never even heard of to your.
That's true.
In your pocket.
Get
there.
yourself some Blue Ladybird.
Another thing I thought of, not necessarily going to get a recipe out of it, but I think it would make a fun cookbook because of the way you can describe the meats, but a Fallout one where, radiated bear.
There you go. That's leave out in sun for 6 weeks. Bring back inside. Yeah.
Cooked with nuclear reactor.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take a more somewhat realistic route. Like, I mean, stuff that I would actually make, right? Like, kind of like these other ones. They're not too out of the ordinary. My first thought, Final Fantasy 15. Have you seen the food in that game? Yeah. Have you seen how good that looks? It's like,
yes.
Yes. I mean, if Ignis can learn how to make this, I should be able to learn how to make this. And
I've come up with a new recipe.
So I'm going to learn how to make cup noodles.
That's a good, you set your goals so they're attainable. I'm proud of you for that. No, all those recipes were really good. My first thought when I saw this was wall chicken or wall turkey from Castlevania.
I was thinking like Breath of the Wild, but like that stuff is so out there. It's like, how would you? I've seen people make recipe books.
There's a cookbook, isn't there?
Yeah, but
like on Fangamer, right?
Yes, I believe so. But I've seen like at conventions, like people release their own versions as well, and they looked more grounded and realistic to a point. But like, yeah, I don't know. You could probably make that gross. What's the one that they like pixelate sensor? It's like technically like unedible, but
yes, I forget what
it's all like purple and green, which you can get a recipe for in Hyrule Warriors. I found out.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I don't know if you ever used the food before going into a fight for like bonus stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing it a lot for XP boosts to try and fast level characters. Square Enix announced this week that a permanent work from home system is going to be offered to all employees beginning December 1st. In general, all employees will be designated as home-based, meaning they work an average of at least 3 days per week from home. Employees will have the option to work as office-based employees, meaning the opposite, at least 3 days of work in the office. I thought this was cool and kind of a shift in not even just Japanese work culture, but like just work culture generally speaking. Obviously this year, I think changed how a lot of companies consider what an office means. But the fact that a big video game studio like Square is offering that across all of its executives and employees is a shift. Seems like they're going to retain office spaces because there's going to be things that are a little bit more confidential that they may need to come into an office for, but it's going to be much more home-based, which is interesting. And I wonder how other companies will or won't follow suit.
I mean,
what do you think?
It seems like the logical route to take as of recent. In a way, I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner for some companies. Like, I feel like, I mean, maybe it does already. I mean, I feel like it's kind of always been around, just hasn't been as prominent, at least with AAA stuff. I know, like, smaller indie stuff, I'm sure that's been a thing. Like, take, what was it, Indie Game, the movie, when they were talking about how Super Meat Boy was made? I mean, I'm sure they weren't in the same room the entire time, you know,
No, one was in North Carolina, the other was in San Diego.
Right, working from home.
Yeah.
But yes, I hope there's more benefits to this than detriments.
I agree.
There's a good positive. I think back to what Infinity Ward said earlier this year when they were talking about Warzone and the switch to work from home. And, you know, they were in offices, but they were kind of already used to the remote work because they collaborate with so many different studios across America and the globe for Warzone, because so many studios work on Call of Duty nowadays. And, like, you know, hopefully, I'm sure if other companies do that, I'm sure, like, you know, the adjustment could be a little bit easier to do that. And then also, at some point, you were probably forced into doing it this year, so you have a lot of those things in place or begun getting them into place. And then I saw Jason Schreier tweet earlier in the week when this was first announced, and he said, like, the other thing was in the way the game development culture is right now is very much like kind of work on a project and you kind of get spit out and you have to relocate and go to the next studio. He said, hopefully, if like more companies do that, there's less relocating. Yes, you might be on like temporary projects and kind of have to go in and out of different studios, but maybe the moving around with your families and stuff like that isn't as big of an issue.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's something you don't consider, but yeah, a lot of people probably do that, and won't have to, because you can set up work from home.
I'll say the only like smallest issue, or maybe not that small depending on who the person is, but the only like one of the things an obstacle I could see is like communication, because maybe it's just easier to just like lean around the wall and just ask a question and with a proper tone, and having to type it out, it's like, yeah, I mean, I could see like daily or weekly meetings happening too, like at Square or something, where like you would, listen on call or whatever.
Yeah. This comes on the heels of a new announcement from Square also this week, announcing Neo: The World Ends With You, coming to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 in summer 2021. You'll explore the heart of Tokyo to uncover the mysteries behind the sinister game that player character Rindo has been forced to take part in. Mark, it does not look like you're using touchscreen to move around. Are you interested?
I watched like maybe 5 or 10 seconds of this game trailer, and I was immediately relieved that it looked way different, and you're actually looks like you're running around like third person. It looks like you're using a joystick to make them move around. That alone was just like, thank you.
Would you be happy if they announced it for PlayStation 4 with the touchpad as your sole input?
No.
Okay. Would you be happy to know that Square Enix also announced a new anime set in the game's world? The World Ends With You, the animation, airing April 2021 in Japan first and coming to America via Funimation.
And this makes complete sense now. Because I remember they were teasing this before. And it was like, so this isn't technically like that new, but I guess I don't think it had a date before. So that might be new. And the fact that it's getting dubbed is also good news. But also, to build up to playing this sequel game, all you have to do is just watch this, because nobody wants to play the first one. You don't want to go through that mess. So
I'd play it on DS, maybe.
Maybe. But like for most people who probably can't acquire something like that, they have the Switch.
Yeah,
and it's just or maybe your phone or tablet or something, because I think it's
right, they did put it up there.
I believe it's on iOS and Android.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think this is just the way to go. I think I can now just watch the anime. I could watch pretty much that first game, because I feel like it's just going to adapt that and actually give the second one a playing chance.
Last week, I invited a bit of negativity with a question, so this week, I'm going to spin it and force some positivity. Someone states, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game in the series, and I've played every game. Why are they right?
Why are they right?
You can beat it in an hour with a stick. Get it done and over with.
I mean, that does play to a part of what this game does, aside from most of the other ones. Where, I mean, besides maybe the first one, that you do have that freedom of how you want to approach a problem. You can solve it any way that you best see fit, whether it's challenging or not.
No, in all seriousness, though, like what you were saying with any challenge, I think it's the first true open world that's not crowded in icons, obvious side quests, obvious points of interest, things like that. I mean, I've had my complaints about the game, but like that is one of the things that thrives. It might be a little too empty for me at times, but like that sense of just walking around and you find this big stone maze that you just kind of navigate, and you're like, oh, what? It might not even have anything to do with anything. It's just kind of there, and you navigate it, you solve it, and you get some kind of treasure out of it. I think that sense of discovery is something that a lot of games don't have, especially open world today. We haven't had a lot of that since probably like an early Grand Theft Auto, like a PlayStation 2 or something.
Yeah. Despite my views on this game, it's more good than bad now. Sure. There's just things that you just can't ignore about this game and what it does really well. And I would say gameplay wise, as far as this franchise goes, it's definitely feels the most mature. Like it finally it tries to take its most important parts of what makes this series so great and tries to like really run with it and like, turn up to 11 in most fields. And that sense of discovery and adventure is like the biggest part of it. But like, I think they try to do so much, and especially on a system that it's on is also kind of impressive. I mean, I know Nintendo's not known for, their more technical side of things. They're not, the most powerful system or whatever.
I beg to differ, because that game is only like 15 gigs or something like that. So,
but I mean, like it's not like 60 frames and everything's rendered perfectly and the field of view and all that. But
it looks better than a lot of other games. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I mean,
in motion, in general, like
it looked better in the trailers, but
When I say most other games, I don't mean like obviously there's stuff that is way better.
Well,
but
Demon
like,
Souls looks better on PS5.
Right. But the average like game that comes out, and even the games that were coming out at that point in time when that was first released on Switch as a debut title on Switch, that looked so much better than some of the stuff that was happening on PS4.
True. The point I want to really highlight was that it's done so much that it basically built, I think for the first time, it's kind of built its own like system. Like it has its own set of physics, has its own set of laws on how everything works in that game and how it all translates well with each other and its interactivity. And like, so it's like you're curious, like, oh, what can I set on fire? What can I, do this? Oh, can I climb a wall in the rain? No, got it.
Yeah, all that like that, or like the subtle.
It adds a level of realism to it, even though it's all just completely like fantasy. You still find a way to get immersed if you really wanted to, and let it.
Yeah, having metal weapons in the lightning storm, and that not being all those little things. On December 4th, that's a couple days away. Jeez. Monster Hunter World Iceborne will kick off a special crossover event where you can play as Artemis, Mila Jovovich's character from the upcoming movie. Anybody diving into that one?
No.
No.
You still not interested in Monster Hunter, either of you guys?
No. Just not feeling it. I know, like, I sound crazy now for saying that, but she should have been in the Resident Evil game before this.
If only when you killed something it said demon slayed or prey slaughtered or something, and then a torch came up, and then you could hit the torch.
Says monster hunted.
I think if it had a story that I was actually invested in, I maybe would care about. I don't know, like, I don't know, there's part of me that's like, yeah, let's kill giant monsters. This is cool. But at the same time, it's like, why are we killing them and wearing them? I don't know. Like
it's the fun of the hunt, Mark.
It challenges my morals and ethics.
No, I'm with you. Like I got into it this year for sure, but I started to feel bad at some of the monsters, the way they would like whimper and run away. And then I also hit a point where like I thought it was cool, like having a game that's nothing but boss fights, but I also fell off of it pretty quickly too. So it's a tough balance. But for those that have stuck with Iceborne, still playing Iceborne, or looking for a reason to come back, you'll be able to play through some Monster Hunter movie crossover stuff. Of course, they already did a Resident Evil crossover. They've done a Mega Man crossover, Street Fighter crossover.
Horizon.
Things have happened in the past. And if you're looking for more movie action to make its way into your video games, a new pack from Mortal Kombat 11 was released this week, featuring movie skins and voice packs from the original movie actors in Mortal Kombat the movie. Pick up the pack for $5.99 to play as Christopher Lambert, Lyndon Ashby, and Bridget Wilson Sampras as Raiden. Yes, Raiden, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade. Sonya Blade?
Sonya Blade.
Yeah. Can you think of a time where an alternate take on source material turned out better than its source? I feel like there was a lot of like swell behind these three getting added in to the game that people were very excited about, for better or for worse. But
are you saying that like because these skins are better than the movie, or
I don't know? I feel like a lot of people were super stoked about I think people were really excited that some of these were making their way back into the game. And I don't know if this is necessarily better than the source material of the game, but it just got me thinking, like, often we look at source material as the purest form of what it was, but I also think that, like, Batman the Animated Series outdoes the comics a lot of times.
Yes.
So, like, has there been a thing like that where you feel like some other interpretation, like, has there been a Dragon Ball game that's better than the show, or is the show better than the manga, or you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know that it necessarily has to be game specific, but like, is there an adaptation or an interpretation of something?
I mean, I know there's an answer to this, but oh man,
you know what? if you think of one, Mark, throw it out there. But otherwise, you could press pause. Matt, do you have an answer for this?
No.
Then I'm going to say, why don't we just kick it over to the weirdest, origins / evolution of an idea, franchise, whatever. Digimon seems to constantly, every time I try to think about maybe getting into Digimon and I ask Mark, he has a different answer. It's not always true, but I just, you have pretty consistent answers. But I feel like I never know, should I start? Should I read? Should I watch? Should I play?
Okay.
What should I do? What am I supposed to do? Because it feels like every single piece of media attached to Digimon has different lore behind it or different aspects of the lore. And now here we are with a new physical card game. And although we are a video game podcast, I've been tangentially fascinated with this. Do you want to walk people through the experience of the card game? Your purchasing, your excitement, your terror?
Sure. And I'm surprised I didn't use that as an answer for stuff being better than the source. Because, the source material of this is just a virtual pet. It's just a Tamagotchi.
Right.
Which are cool, and they have added more things to them since. But because of that, the stuff that it has spawned from it, we're able to appreciate everything a lot more. And half the time, we're not even thinking about the virtual pet that much. We're more so thinking about the anime or maybe a video game. But yeah, so the cards, they just did a pre-release for America, starting on Black Friday. And I was even surprised we even got that far because this franchise has kind of been on and off with its popularity. And not too much was getting local support. I think it was probably closer near to the end of the PS4 cycle that we were getting a couple games on there. More on the way. So yeah, it was nice to finally, because it was sometime last year I think this card game got announced. Only Japan. And I was like, oh, this looks so good. And last time we had a card game here was over 10 years ago. Maybe almost, I don't know, maybe almost 20 years. And that one didn't really go so well because of poor translations, and they changed the way the game was played in Japan was how it was supposed to be played. By the time it came to America, awful. I didn't know that. I still enjoyed it. So now here we are to this. All that gets resurfaced and all those memories reawaken in me. I'm like, all right, I really want to take advantage of this. I really want to speak with my wallet, and I probably spoke a little more than I should have. But whatever.
We all get carried away.
It's fine. It happens. But I bought a whole box of boosters, and I bought all 3 starter decks that came out. Starter decks are actually a pretty good price. They're $10 or $11 each, and they come with a booster pack inside. So I'm just saying Pokemon. I'm just saying they're
But you're also doing terrible things to me in the last 24 hours.
I know. I'm sorry. I needed to share my enthusiasm, and
no, I'm happy that you did. But also, there's nothing better than opening up a whole bunch of cards and seeing that yesterday. I was about to drive up to the store you went to and buy whatever was left.
Oh yeah, there's still a lot there, I think. But
really,
yeah.
Matt, what are you doing today? You go for a drive?
And on artifact cards and not be stick figures.
So I obviously opened up all the packs and went through everything, and I started organizing everything that I could, and realized that I didn't buy a binder or sleeves to put the stuff in yet, but in time. And then I started looking at all the numbers when I was organizing them, and noticed I was missing a lot, and I just for some reason assumed, hey, you buy a box, you're kind of guaranteed that whole collection. I never bought a box before, so I didn't know.
Well, there's some card games that make that precedent that say hey, if you buy this, you are guaranteed one of each one. Not everything does, of course, but some of them
it says
certain sets.
I think it says on the box what is possible to get in there, but but it never guaranteed anything. So maybe I just should have read.
That's what keeps you buying more boosters,
Right. And but then I look at the checklist. Turns out I'm not missing as much as I thought, because they decided to, because like Japan's already ahead at this point. Kind of they do with everything. They're always ahead of us with everything. And I guess that's good for production purposes. So I think they're like more than 3 series at this point, but they took most of the first 3 and took bits and pieces from that and gave us that's our first series, is just all of that combined. It's kind of like when you like when an MMO goes like free to play, but they add like the first 3 expansions to it.
Sure, yeah, that way you can get.
But not all the content is quite there. Like some of it you still have to unlock or whatever.
Yeah, like Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
Or Destiny.
Now, are you coming at this? Obviously, I know you're. Huh?
Or Destiny nowadays.
Yeah. The way they've done that, they've changed that around.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, this is Digimon's a big one for you. But are you coming at this from I want to play the game? I want to collect all the cards.
I at least wanted to collect the first thing of whatever, and then as it goes on, I'll just feel it out from there. But yeah, I mostly wanted to show my support with it, and I do want to play it. I just downloaded the app recently. It's like a tutorial app that teaches you how to play, and I think they did a pretty good job for the most part. There's some things you kind of have to figure out on your own, and I lost a couple times to the AI, and I was like, okay, now I understand how this works or whatever. So I guess it does a good job in teaching. I think it should also just have an app version like Pokemon. You should just, be able to buy packs online and have that or whatever. Maybe they will down the line. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I do.
Are we coming up on an anniversary at all? Is there an anniversary coming up for Digimon?
I think it's either this year or next year. We're approaching. Is it 25th or 35th? It's probably.
I know next year's 25 for Pokemon,
and they're not too far from each other.
Yeah,
because Digimon was.
I'm on the big machine
1999.
Now. Okay.
Or 98. So I think a lot of it has to do with that too.
I'm just thinking business-wise, like, would it make sense for them to put this out in America, grow it a bit, and then if it does well, then make an app version and start doing the Pokemon trading card game thing where you can buy boosters that give you codes for the game and
right.
All that stuff.
And they also, they have a dedicated YouTube channel now where we'll get weekly videos on this English card game and everything. Like, they seem like...
Oh, wow.
It's all broadcasted from Japan, so it's all, subtitled and whatever. But they have an English speaker there to talk to you through everything and whatever. So they seem like they even said it themselves that Bandai seems very serious about pushing this and wanting this to be taken seriously among other card games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do physical card games. Never have. Never will at this point. I don't like the smell of a fresh pack like Joe was talking about. If this goes digital, it's incentive for me to try it and think of all the ones I've tried and the ones I've ended up liking. Like Magic, I don't have a great deck in Magic, but I do fine on my rank, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, if you release this, give it a free Season 1 Battle Pass where you can get some kind of free cards out of it. Along with some free cards for being a day one person there. And then you make someone pay for that kind of going forward. It gets you free booster packs. You're paid. I guess you pay for them, but you earn free booster packs with it or whatever. I think seems to be a viable strategy nowadays. Just look at Magic and look at what Artifact's about to do,
and
what Hearthstone does now. Because Hearthstone now has a battle pass thing. I think that pissed people off.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Learning this card game, it does seem more simple compared to other ones. But you can make it like there is kind of a meta to it if you want there to be one. I think.
What is that? That's the sign of a good card game, though, right? At its base, it's easy to understand, but as you develop your cards, or as you develop your understanding, as you acquire cards and you figure out, the types that you like to build around and what you play best with, you come up with these intricate strategies.
And because with this one, I think they did a good job of translating the whole VPET mechanic of like, because you have your own separate part of like, there's like I forgot what they call it. I think it's like a hatching phase or like a whatever, where like you have a little baby Digimon that's not strong enough to really be fighting yet, so you can take care of it there and let it get stronger before sending it out. And then you have your main field where everybody fights at whatever, and the whole point is just trying to break the other person's security wall, which is like other cards that will pop up and they have effects and whatever that changed up the game too. And then once you get rid of their security wall, you go to strike them and you win. It's just whoever has the bigger number is the winner, basically, when it comes to fighting each other. It's not like you need energy cards to do an attack or something, but there are option cards that you can put out there that can change a whole field of things, and that's where it gets complicated and whatnot. But like not in a like intimidating way, just in a more exciting way. And then they like took elements from like the anime where you have like they're called tamer cards. So, and they'll have different effects for your whole side, for your whole field, and you can, and those perks can stack. So like if I just had one tamer out there, which is basically, for those who aren't too aware with Digimon, tamer is like the Pokemon trainer equivalent with their Digimon. It's just more so in the animes than anything. But like if I had like a card that said, oh, everybody's power goes up 2,000 points every turn, that one card would keep going, but I can stack up to 4 of those if I had 4 of them in my deck. So it would be like 8,000 every round or something like that, or like every turn. It would just be insane.
So, my final 2 questions. Digimon Cyber Sleuth?
Mm-hmm.
Digimon World Cyber Sleuth? Is that the one?
Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth.
That is on sale on Switch right now for $24.99. Is that an entry point for me?
Is it? That's the bundle though, right? It's Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory?
Let me see. Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition. Probably. It says,
I think it
delivers everything fans loved about Digimon Cyber Sleuth, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, and Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Yeah, everything all in one. $24.99.
So those games, it's like your typical JRPG, where like you do have a turn-based battle, and you can see whose turn's going to be coming up next at the top or whatever, and you do your stuff. And there is like an interesting story. The only part that I'm not sure you would enjoy, or I would even enjoy, is the whole digivolving process. So they try to, this is where, like, because each game tries to keep that element of a VPET thing. So, you know, you're raising a Digimon, whatever.
Sure.
Feeding them, training them, making sure all their stats are good and they're healthy. With this one, it's like, you stay in your form. Like, it's not like the show where, like, they'll, like, go basically Super Saiyan and then go back to, like, a basic form. But, like, with this one, you can, depending on the stats, you can unlock a certain evolution chain, because nobody, like, Pokemon just has one chain per Pokemon. Like, you can go, right? Digimon, you go wherever. You can turn into anything, basically, depending on your type and stats and whatever.
So every Digimon's an Eevee, is what you're saying.
Yes, but with guns and leather belts. And
so every Digimon's an Eevee.
Yeah, basically. But in order to get certain chains, you have to reverse your Digimon back down to a lower level.
Okay.
It's kind of almost like prestiging in like Call of Duty or something, where like you kind of get an advancement, but you're starting over again. And there's a lot of that going on if you really want to get something cool, and that can be tedious. So that part I don't care too much about, believe it or not. But the rest of it, I did enjoy.
I don't know if I would have ever expected Mark to compare something to prestiging in Call of Duty.
I just didn't know what else had.
We've heard it all this year now.
I didn't know what like other game kind of did something like that, where you advance, but you're starting over.
So, I guess final 2 questions. In addition to my other final 2 questions, Should I just get a VPET? Should I just go find one on the internet and order one?
I got one better for you, Joe. Download Warzone, buy the Tamagotchi watch kit, and then you can play with your Tamagotchi as you shoot people in Warzone.
I think I do. I think they delisted that app, but I think I did have it on my watch when I first got the Apple Watch so many years ago.
I mean, like, you could get one, but if you just you got to take care of it, or else the battery might die and it doesn't turn back on. At least the ones that are recent. No. But this other one that I've got from years back, still works.
I love that. That's so funny.
I don't know. Actually, I would just wait till this new one that they're announcing is apparently it's just way better than anything else. It's going to probably be like if Nintendo's only been producing a Game Boy all this time, imagine jumping to Game Boy Advance and skipping Game Boy Color
after 20 years. Yeah. All right.
So at least that's
that's
the vibe I'm getting from it.
And that's only Japan so far?
No, I think that is going to be
global release.
Yeah.
Man, if you skip Game Boy Color, you'll never get one of the best Resident Evil games ever.
Resident Evil Gaiden.
Well, I'm going to do what I can to not run out and buy a bunch of booster packs of something today, because you got me messed up.
And not to make things harder for you to decide, but a lot of these decks are based on colors. So that's kind of like Magic. There's that field, and the option cards that come with those are they're like the trainer cards in Pokemon. They only work with certain colors, so you have to think about that when you're making everything.
Deck. I got a lot to consider.
I mean, I can just let you use one of my starter decks.
That's true. Yeah,
I have 3 of them.
Good point.
Or you could have your own starter deck with your own smells, fresh out of the box.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go through. I've still got all my old Pokemon cards from a couple years back. I've got Magic cards laying around here somewhere. Just look at all those today. Maybe that'll scratch the itch of whatever. Otherwise, I'll skate up to Target and come back with $600 worth of Pokemon cards or something. They got Dragon Ball Z cards now. Anyway, that has been the Free Cheese episode 378. We covered a lot this week. If you want to hear it again, you can scroll the thing back to the beginning and just listen to it again, or you can listen to last week's or next week's when that happens in the future. Time has no meaning, so you might already be listening to that one. You may have already listened to that one, and now you're going back in time and you're like, I really like that podcast. I'm going to listen to all the other ones. So now you're listening to this one.
We see you.
Yeah, we get it. Digimon. You can follow us on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at SomeFreeCheese. Marc is at aug_mental. Matt is at MattyAce131. TheFreeCheese.com is a website. Podcast at TheFreeCheese.com is an email address where you can send us a question, ask us anything. You can answer a question. Maybe you're listening to an episode 6 weeks from now and you're like, boy, I want to ask them a question. Email us. What else were you guys playing this week?
I didn't talk about it much, but I think I'm at the end, or not the end, but I'm scratching the end of Demon Souls, so I think that's going to get wrapped up.
Nice.
Assassin's Creed is supposed to come. I should have it in my possession by the time this airs, so maybe
sure,
I will finally play Assassin's Creed 1 month later after saying I would play Assassin's Creed, so stay tuned on that one.
Well, that worked out, though, because maybe you would have been distracted to at least try that if it had shown up and not jumping into the other games, so that worked out.
And I didn't forget about Yakuza. I just didn't really get to it because I feel like I'm still watching a movie whenever I turn that on. So after Demon Souls, I have a feeling I'm going to spend more time on my Xbox.
Marc?
I think for me, after I finish this remaining 6% of Hyrule Warriors, Not to be like a broken record, but I think I'm finally gonna get in that mood for 13 Sentinels. Give it its proper time.
Nice. That oh wait, is that live stream like today? Well, I'll find out. Listeners, you may already know that live stream has happened, and whatever news comes out of it, we will talk about it next week. I'm gonna wrap up Hyrule Warriors as well. Keep going with Persona 5, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what else. I still got to finish Crown Tundra. I did not touch that at all this week, but we got stuff. So that is it. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.